Welcome to VTuber Studio. If you haven't heard of VTuber Studio before, we have created an open source project for you to customize and stream in your very own studio in Unreal Engine. You will find that apart from integrating media inputs and outputs, we've also offered different integrations such as LiveLink, Twitch, and VMC. So follow the rest of this tutorial series to learn how to clone this project, and we'll cover topics such as dependencies, animation blueprints, swapping out your environments using persistent levels, avatar customization and retargeting, as well as full body tracking via OSC and VMC.
Okay, sorry, I just realized YouTube didn't have audio, but yeah, everything's back now, and hopefully everyone that's been listening on Discord has had enough kind of audio inputs. Hi, welcome. Welcome for joining. Yeah, so Connor, we're just going to actually give this a go and maybe try to use webcam MoCap data to remap some of the data to maybe a cube or something else. I'm going to just show you maybe a few tricks that could happen. In this project now, we're using an animation blueprint to receive VMC data, and that might be something just fun to look at. So I'm just going to use, actually, before that happens, I thought it might be safer that I push this version on GitHub super quickly, and then I'll be able to build on it. So just give me 2 seconds to push whatever I have now on GitHub. Then I can really mess this project up, hopefully. UI. So for the past week or two, I've been working on updating the UI of this project. So I can show you now how it's different, but you probably can tell it's basically UI updates, making sure the logic's right. So at first glance, the UI stays the same, but we've changed a bit of like the cinematography of the VTuber Studio project. Now the project has very clearly 5 major features, including media capture and output, media input, motion capture with live link or VMC, character customization, as well as Twitch. We've also, on the other hand, chosen the Cinecam as a different, as our kind of sequence holder or container, and now using different keyboard controls, we can set different kind of focus settings for you to have more dynamic streaming experiences. So yeah, these are all using my keyboard now. We can then program different angles. Sorry, the focus is a bit out of focus, but I'm going to switch that up very soon. And we have different panning shots, and different kind of like studio overview shots for you to just, it would be just more fun to have these kind of interactions on the go. Yeah, and some close-ups as well. This is super crisp, so I think that'll be quite nice to stream out of. Then meanwhile, yeah, I'm just working on updating everything to make sure it's super crisp. But yeah, that's basically the progress of the project. We've been working on it for quite a few months now, so it'll be ready very soon. So first of all, we're looking at the MetaHuman blueprint, because this is really the blueprint we've used for receiving VMC data via the animation blueprint. So what we've done previously is that we're using the animation blueprint to get certain bone data. Maybe not. We can use the face one as well, potentially. In the animation blueprint, we have set different variables, including bone data and curve map, allowing us to use incoming curves with VMC to then use kind of like do live updates of eye positions as well as blend shapes, and so if we want to just use any of this data externally, we simply have to set a variable and then use this variable somewhere else. For example, on determining the material instances of a static mesh, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to have a quick look at what I can do now. So we've got a curve map. And also just looking at the VMC receiver, we've got different bone information, and then we can also set a variable somewhere that we can then use for different things. So I'm going to try something now to see whether we can get the a temporary value from potentially eye movement or any like hip movement from VMC, and then to apply and to set a variable with that. So I'm just going to use something as simple as just trying to find what's the best thing to use. Bone info. Nice. Maybe bone info, and then getting the first row of the map. So I'm setting up VMC now on my other screen, and then once that's done, I'll be able to see whether we're getting information from there. Nice, it's just calibrating now, just hiding my face and it'll be ready. Oh, interesting. Might be a bit dark for MoCap where I am, but I'm just setting it up now. Once it's ready, I'm just gonna move it to another screen so you can see VMC running. So now you should be able to see me and VMC tracking doing all right. What we can do now is really try to set up VMC receiver, make sure it's turned on. And then with that, see whether we can get some kind of data. So in the project, we can see that VMC receiver is updating with event tick. This is relatively heavy process because it's updating every frame. But this means that we can kind of we can use any of these values and set, for example, material instances and colors dynamically. So as you can see now, it is running. I'm just going to find something quite useful for bone data. So I'm just going to have to look at the best one. These are finger ones. Maybe we can use like left eye and right eye. So just going to stop this now and see which one I use for the eye. So from bone data, left eye and right eye. All right. So from bone. Find. I'm just gonna stop this for a bit. It might be really heavy to run this while it's playing. Stop. I'm gonna try to do something. Left eye. And then left eye should be returning a certain. So each of the rows here is giving me a transform. So what I need to do is then to break transform. And then using the location, I might just also break vector. And then using the X, set a variable, for example. So I'm just going to create a new variable here called left eye X. And what we're trying to do here is to create a new variable on tick, and then hopefully use that to set dynamic materials for your character or anything. So I'm just gonna have a try to see if it can work that way. I'm gonna set it as a float and hopefully that works. Cool. Sorry for this very messy blueprint. I'm just gonna tie it up now. So what we need to look at is this, and setting an X over here. So now we have bone information that we're receiving on tick, and then we're setting a variable using the left eye's information, breaking the transform of the location of the eye, and then using that information to set a variable. So the only value we really need to watch, maybe we can use print string here to see where we're going, then use this as a string. All super like things I've been doing just on the go here. I haven't really done this before, so let's have a go to see if it works. I do have to hit play, I think, for this to work. It's not printing any strings, so let's have a look. VMC editor tick is true. So it should be printing if it's, there's no error either, so I don't know what's happening. Let's have a look for each. Let's see. Okay, so editor tick for debug draw to go. So I need to check this just so I can see what's happening. Yeah, so it seems like the eye is constantly being tracked, so that's great. The other thing that's probably not useful is the location's probably fixed in the right spot, but maybe rotation is a more dynamic value we can get. So that's something we're going to do now. We're going to break rotation instead, and then get rotation. So I might just do something like this. break rotator. Break rotator, and then use the, not sure if it's the yaw that we've been using for the most part, so I'm just gonna have a quick look and make sure this is stopped as well. So I'm gonna have a look now at left eye and right eye, rotation to eye blend. We've been using the roll, the yaw for left, looking left and right. So let's use the yaw and set this value. And we're gonna use the debug draw again. Wonder if we need to do play. Okay, let's do the play simulate. Yay, perfect. So now we have something that just prints and shows us where our eyes are moving on play. So that's all working fine. Again, it's a super hacky way to do things, so please forgive me. Now that we have this this variable, we can just use this in many other places. So what I'm actually going to do first is to create a static mesh inside the same blueprint and set a cube for this, or any cute mesh would work. Let's have a blobby plant as this blueprint. Then we will need to change, I guess one of the things you were interested in, Connor, was changing textures dynamically. So one thing you could do there is to create material instance with a so you can create a new material instance and then set it in real time. So what we can do now is to, in a random spot, sorry, that's probably not the best way to do it, create a material, look for this material maybe and create an instance of it. Then maybe we want to activate this parameter and change it to green and save it as material instance. And then I'm gonna save as another color, so maybe purple for any values above 0, and then green for below 0. So I might just do something like this. So we have material instance and material instance 1. Let's have a look. So material instance 1 should be green. Okay. So now we have two types of materials. They're both instances and we can change them dynamically. So I'm going to switch this to the purple one now. Instance 1. Sorry, I feel like I could have done this in a much more organized way, but because I'm just doing this on the go, it's quite hard to explain it as clear as I can. So again, now that we have a really useful, really useful new variable to use, we can then use this information. So now we don't need to print string because we kind of have an idea that the rotation goes a certain way. So a bit of cheating. Rotation previously I've set it as so left and right, the minimum is -19 and the maximum is 17. So what we can do exactly here now is to do the same thing. So if create a branch for this variable, if this number is larger than, greater or equal to 0 as the condition, then this material, then the static meshes material set material then we can set this material, I think this is the element 0 of the material, to purple one, so material instance. The quicker way to do it is always click content browser and just go for the arrow. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing and then choose a purple, the green material for this. So material inst 1. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I don't even know what this will even look like just yet. But let's find the VMC receiver. It's conveniently there now, so that's great. I think this might crash me for being so heavy. Okay, so luckily we can now, so I'm trying to look a certain way. I'm looking left and it turns green. If I look right, it's purple. Green, green on the left, and right for purple. Don't know. So what we're really doing here is just using a variable and mapping that for different things, and Unreal is very useful for that. So hopefully that helps you get an idea of what you can set anything for. You're basically just storing, yeah, of course. But I can also, feel free to also share your screen and I can show you different ways to do it maybe. Also, like traditional game developers will always tell you that you shouldn't use event tick, but it's just the easiest way to test things. So yes, so let me show you the blueprint. So I'm gonna just stop the game now. The quickest way to explain this is that using MoCap data that from my VMC receiver, I'm getting a really wide range of values. So the bone information is like all bone transform data, and I'm really looking at just the left eye now, finding its rotation. And particularly the yaw, which I think caters for the left to right rotation of the eye. I'm creating a new variable, which is a float that is constantly setting every frame, which is very heavy. And if this value is above 0, then we set this static mesh inside the blueprint. We set the material for that as purple, and if not, if it is below 0, we set it to green. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm just going to comment on this so you can. So this is set dynamic material by eye rotation. And then I'm going to also expand the screen space a little. So yeah, feel free to screenshot. No, obviously not off topic. VMC VMC is something we've been working on with XR Animator. So XR Animator is this open source MoCap, webcam-based MoCap solution, and we've been creating a blueprint that takes in data from XR Animator via VMC, which is just a protocol to receive information, and then with that, we just find a row of data from that kind of MoCap system, and then setting a variable, blah blah blah. But LiveLink is Unreal's kind of native solution for motion capture, and it has like great high fidelity MoCap results. So what we're seeing here, if you look at this anime character, is very cartoonish, so maybe there's a lot of simplification in the MoCap tracking, for example, but I'm gonna try to do this again. Yeah, so silly to just like look at myself changing the kind of material for this. So I'm basically just rotating my head because it's easier to look at the screen while I'm still rotating my head. But for Connor, I did kind of just think this would be the exact way you change the textures for your VTuber character. So, for example, you can imagine these material instances as, so let's say you have the same material, and in the material instance, you can create, for example, 3 siblings that have 3 types of textures, and then depending on mouth openness, use that variable to set how you would like the materials to change. If you can see that like right now, it's not even that heavy for my project, so it shouldn't be a massive problem. UV placement for material instancing. No, I'm guessing you'll need to. I see. So does that mean that the mesh, that with the mesh and the texture will change at the same time? You can also create a new static mesh in here, and depending on which, how far your, for example, it could be, for your case, it's a mouth thing, but it could also be a mouth thing. But maybe using the same branch, you can hide a. You could instance a mouth as its own thing, as a new mesh if you have specific UV mappings for that. Otherwise, you can also create a shader that changes the mapping. It really depends. But yeah, feel free to share your screen. But if you were to have like 3 mouth shapes as 3 meshes now, then you can simply set. I think it's rendering. I actually don't remember. Visible. Set visibility, something like that. I have no idea. Or set hidden in game. So potentially you can also do this. Hidden versus not hidden. Oh, just need a target. So if they are very specific UV mappings, then I would do that. Oops, just unplugs my headphone just a second. Cool. I see. Yeah, so right now, if I'm looking a certain way, it's hidden, but it's moved to there because the receiver 2 is also in the background. But you can ignore that. So it's quite dynamic, and it updates every frame again. But then with this, you can have 3 meshes and use a float as your logic. Is it possible to have a real-time body movement using a cell phone to capture the movement of an avatar? Real-time body movement. Currently, this is all local on my machine. I'm guessing the difficulty is that, so if you've seen using the MC receiver, we are able to use full body tracking here, but if you have to stream from another machine or a phone, yeah, I think actually that's possible. I might have just gotten confused. There's something called ZigSim, which I think allows you to use your data from your phone, stream that to Unreal via OSC, and then the same way I'm doing, the same way for what I'm doing now, to remap that data for something else. Body tracking is quite interesting because XR Animator uses something called Media Pipe now. So I imagine there should be some apps out there that are phone pose tracking plus an OSC for your phone. So PoseNet and OSC. I'm just guessing that you could use something like that. PoseNet. Don't know. This is probably not made for a phone app. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do in this area. I feel like this is quite like traditional interaction design using webs. Yeah, you can use an app. So with LiveLink now, it is. With LiveLink now, it's just for a face, but there is also a full body tracking Japanese app, I believe, for phones. It's not Driver for VR. It is four letters, I think. Yeah, something like that. With an iPhone. So whatever it is, when you have some kind of like OSC stream up data, you just have to like look at what's being streamed in, see how many rows of data you have, get one, choose something, and then remap that for something else. Let me have a look. There is something, I have seen it before, that it uses. Sorry, I'm just gonna literally look at YouTube now to see if I can see anything. Not this. Yeah, I'll have a quick look and I'll probably drop it in the chat. To go over linking a new VRM model or any custom built avatar and linking it to LiveLink. So using LiveLink, we will be using a different process, I believe. I'm just gonna switch this off now. Using LiveLink, it is possible. So I don't know if you've seen something called, I'm gonna also turn off my BMC. I'm gonna open up a new level within my plugins folder. So I've been using a lot of VRM4U content because it's very useful. In the latest one, they have something called LiveLink Face. They have like literally this project that's made for LiveLink with VRM characters. And using LiveLink, which I'm gonna turn on now. My phone might be out of battery soon. I think one of it should be working. Is there one of it working? So live link face. Okay, this one's working now. So I imagine this character within this blueprint. There's a lot of stuff you can steal from this blueprint. So this is just from a plugins, from the plugins folder of VRM4U. And let's see what where the magic is. So yeah, loads of stuff to use here. I can imagine it's built the same way. For example, new morph. The quickest way just to right click to find its references and to see. Okay, my phone just died. But I would say the best way is to create a add this plugin to your blank project, click on this level directly, and then turn on Live Link on your phone. While you're in simulating mode, have a look at what data is being kind of constantly set in the blueprint. And then you'll be able to use one of those floats, for example, to set a certain thing. And I would set it in the same blueprint just to be, for the first instance, for something quite simple to play with. How I could switch out the primary metahuman using a button or tick. Switching through different character. So I probably wouldn't switch out a primary metahuman using a tick, because that's quite heavy to do and has to run it has to run all the time. What I would probably do is, do you mean like swap, like character swap? So we can do something like that now, actually. In the level blueprint, I will create a keyboard event. So when I press 1, for example, so I'm just going to press 1, character swaps, perfect. I think this would be quite similar to many levels. So it could be, this VRM character could be your placeholder at the moment. The best way personally for me is to create a keyboard event and use a flip-flop, which is oscillating between A and B. So the first time you click, it's A, second time you click is B, and then it will oscillate on its own. So whenever you press 1, it just goes between the two. I'm going to create a reference. So once I click on this character, I can then create a reference to this character and then set hidden in game. So you're actually always working with duplicates or having different blueprints. So I'm imagining that you have a metahuman and then you might also have a VRM character, and ideally you would build them in separate blueprints to because, for example, VRM blueprints are configured in a very specific way, and metahumans as well. You don't really want to mix them up. So I would just do, I'm going to duplicate this character now, and then I'm going to set it as something random. I'm going to set this skeletal mesh to something completely random, maybe this one. So now I have 2 characters. I'm going to then create a reference to this character and then do that. So every time, so you'd have to do some kind of crossovers for, like, every time you press this one, the one on the left will probably be hidden, and then you want to show the one on the right. So I would pair it like so, and then when it's hidden, something like that. So don't know, my logic is really bad, but let's have a try. Oh. Yeah, over here. Yeah, every time you press 1, you can then swap out the characters like so. I think the best way for any VTubers to do it live is to use a keyboard switch. It's just the best way to do it. So you can imagine you have live link configured for both characters already. You just need to hide them. That's probably what I would do. I don't know. Yeah, it's not as magical as actually swapping a character out. They're both in the scene, but you're just setting it to hide. So whether it automatically traces the VMC MoCap, it depends on how you configure each individual blueprint. So if both characters have the right blueprint set already, it should just work. Magically. Yeah, that's probably how I would do it. Great. It seems like around this time is the most popular time for streams, so feel free to come again, because I used to do them at 3 p.m. London time, and I guess a lot of people would be at work or would be on a different time zones with a lot of different people. So yeah, if it works for everyone, I'll be continuing around this time every week. Yeah, for Julian, you can use MetaHuman with this. So in the VTuber Studio project, that is exactly a MetaHuman. So you're basically looking at a MetaHuman over here. It's just a heavily textured. Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. I love all these questions. They're very specific to the project as well, which hopefully the project will be useful for anyone wanting to clone it. Yes, so feel free to let me know if you come up with any additional questions, and I'll just be hanging out in the background here. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm literally just doing a lot of this on the fly, so I didn't actually know if that would work when I started the stream, but hopefully that was clear enough. If that helps, I can always create an additional tutorial with it. Yeah, I think VTuber Studio we see as a more, hopefully, so we've created additionally some controllers in the level. So apart from having every feature already in a level, we've also created a controller which is called VTS controller. And this kind of controls the logic of, like, for example, camera switching. So let's say if you have viewport, Cinecam and 360 all in a scene, you'd have like a system to pause the other ones and make one run to help with performance. So we've done a lot of that kind of logic, and in this level it basically has everything packed in it, and we've kind of created like a logic around it. The rest of the ecosystem then is to we've also introduced different things. So for example, this Twitch NPC thing is a branch of the Owl Interactive Streamer plugin. So hopefully with the kind of Twitch stuff, we're hoping to create more interactive content for streamers. So streamers can just use this plugin to receive chat and interact with it and create interactive experiences with it as well. Yeah, I think on the other hand, Hardcore Rick's working on very specifically virtual production studio stuff, which do have a more commercial purpose. I guess whatever you're seeing here now isn't the kind of industry standard. It's very much like how to stream from your home and create fun experiences on your own. So for on my side, it's super indie, whereas I feel like virtual production stuff, or a lot of the stuff that Hardcore Rick's been doing, is super professional. So I think we're tapping into different worlds here, and maybe that's and these worlds will collide soon. So Rick and I are planning to work on some really interesting multiplayer projects soon. So hopefully there will be more collabs, and we can all then collate ideas. Oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, to be honest, the Off-World toolkit is very specifically run on NVIDIA graphics card with PC, so we're Windows based at the moment, and likely to be for a while. It'll be quite hard to run anything on Macs, I imagine, with Unreal. But I'm extremely biased. But yeah, if you do get a chance to try it, that would be great. But if you are just using Mac for Unreal as well, those tips, aside from the kind of toolkit stuff, everything else is applicable. So hopefully the series is still useful. Yeah, thank you. Scene change and level change while streaming. Yes, so yeah, Rick has actually really kindly set this up for us. Using persistent levels, you can load a level and unload a level at a certain time. So the core functionalities of my project are these features, and then you can add different environments to it. I actually have to check out how I did the other ones, but I believe you can load different levels at the same time. Choose a level, add an existing level, so environment. Yeah, it's in my memory somewhere. Level 1 and templates. Maybe we can create different. We can create a new one. Create new, empty level, maybe basic. So I believe you can do something like, once you've loaded both levels at the same time, you can set them as hidden somewhere. And how it's done is probably using the level blueprint, where you can use this node, load stream level, and you can also make it invisible. So currently the environment we are in right now is the environment 1, but you can also make this invisible by blueprint. Just have to remember how it's referenced. I'm sure you can also use keyboard events to swap them and change the visibility. Yeah, so, but make sure, using persistent levels, you will have to make sure that everything, like all the core functions are in one level, and then the other one is just like background, like static meshes, for example, because it's hard, they can't interact with each other. So like something in another level can't really reference things in the, for example, the template default. So that's something to look out for. Amazing. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining the stream. We'll be back again next week, same time, if that works best for everyone. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. It's really nice to see everyone.